And Isaac is an AI training and
awesome.
learning development platform for our sales force. Our organization goes through this platform, but we're going to be making it available because staff retention, staff training, staff development, skill assessment is a real challenge.
Yeah.
And standardization of training and reinforcement is a real challenge. So the AI platform will walk staff ODs through, and we're going to bring out multiple products. We're starting obviously with Newton and Sequel products and Neurolens products to learn how.
Hello and welcome to Chris Wolfe Podcast on iCode Media. Today I'm having a conversation live in the exhibit hall at Vision Expo West with my friend Davis Corley, who runs Neurolens. He's going to talk about some of the other updates within Neurolens, a lot of exciting things that I'm going to pick his brain about and sort of dive deeper in. So enjoy our conversation. As always, be sure to subscribe to the podcast, write a review, share it with your friends, and support those who support us. The most common questions I get include, what ophthalmological codes or evaluation and management codes should I use? What ICD-10 codes do I need to bill with this CPT code? What CPT codes can be billed together and what can't? And my favorite, how do I manage a patient who has diabetes who comes in for a quote-unquote routine eye exam? These questions really highlight the confusion and uncertainty that serves as a daunting hurdle for providers, makes it more challenging for them to care for their patients and provide those patients with the best opportunity for a lifetime of ocular health and clear vision. That's why we built iCode Education for this specific purpose. Our mission is to provide optometrists with resources to help you understand disease states, revenue cycles, and billing and coding so that you can put that on autopilot and truly care for your patients. Check out iCodeEducation.com, that's EYECODE education.com. We've developed a premier billing and coding bundle that includes all of our billing and coding resources in one place. We also have a 10% discount code just for listeners of this podcast. Enter the coupon code EYECODEMEDIA22 at checkout. We'd love to work with you. Check out iCodeEducation.com. Hello, dedicated optometrists. Are you looking for a way to support your patient's vision and overall eye health? Let me introduce you to Vision Edge Pro, a visual performance supplement that stands out in our profession. Vision Edge Pro contains a balanced blend of mesozeaxanthine, lutein, and zeaxanthine in a 10-10-2 ratio. This combination has been scientifically shown to increase macular pigment density, which enhances visual performance, including contrast sensitivity and vision in glare situations. Additionally, Vision Edge Pro provides 300 milligrams of DHA and EPA, fulfilling the daily requirements for omega-3s as recognized by the leading health organizations. This ensures your patients receive the essential nutrients their eyes need for optimal health. Whether it's for everyday screen use, night driving, or enjoying the outdoors, Vision Edge Pro supports your patients in seeing their best. Recommend Vision Edge Pro for your patients today and help them achieve clearer, healthier vision. Contact your local MacuHealth representative for more details. Vision Edge Pro, because your patients deserve the best in eye health. Go to MacuHealth.com and use the coupon code PODCAST2024 at checkout for special discounts. It's been about a year and a half, my friend, since you and I have talked on the podcast.
Yep.
And you've got a lot of big stuff going on within your company, which is commonly thought of as Neurolens. So right. First adjustment, first change, talk about the change, why for the change. Let's hear about it.
So, as an organization, we've been running as Neurolens for a better portion of a decade, really focused on creating a therapeutic outcome in optometry. We took a hard look in the mirror and we said, we've got some innovation coming down the pipe that we know is going to broaden and expand our vision for how we serve practices and patients. And we said, we think that this isn't just a rebranding as much as it is a reinvention to the marketplace. And so we looked for inspiration and said, okay, we love Neurolens. As a product brand, Neurolens is going to remain unchanged. It will be the product prescribed to those therapeutic patients. But as a company, we're going to start to expand our presence. And we want to do that through the inspiration of Sir Isaac Newton, one of the greatest innovators of our time. He laid the foundation for modern optics. He discovered the hidden possibilities within prism. and really just an incredible figure, and we think represents the inspiration of innovation that we see for this organization for practices in the future.
So then Newton becomes the overarching company.
Yes.
Neurolens becomes a product underneath that company, as opposed to the entire company being the product.
Correct. We've got our Newton umbrella, underneath it our therapeutics lens and category with our N3 measurement device and the Neurolens. And then we're going to be talking about some other innovations that are coming.
Yeah, so let me backtrack a little bit, because the last time you and I discussed some things, and I think you're taking a little more proactive approach. I was kind of critical with how you entered in the kind of the HIT6 study and the headaches, which was actually a really revolutionary study in my opinion, but it wasn't perceived that way by and large. And so how much of sort of your learnings from, well, wasn't perceived by that because it wasn't understood well in the optometry community about how impactful HIT6 was on headache outcomes and the reduction that Neurolens was having within the HIT6 post-treatment with Neurolens. It was hard for us to understand because we weren't familiar with that measure. So one, I think maybe a springboard to the transition would be kind of summarizing that conversation, maybe that study really quickly, what that found and how pivotal it was. And then sort of what you learned from kind of the lessons of, hey, we got a great study, we need to tell the story in advance. So talk about that a little bit.
So first, we love skepticism. That's what's required for advancements of innovation. It doesn't just automatically improve. People have to be skeptical about things in order for innovation to really advance.
Yeah.
It's what makes it better. And we took that on as Neurolens, and we said, okay, we want to run a scientifically rigorous study, randomized, controlled, crossover, and we want to prove that the Neurolens creates an unbelievably therapeutic outcome for a patient with headaches. Now, headaches being a subjective reported outcome, there's only a few tools in the space that you can really lean to use as for a clinical study. And we looked at the HIT6. Now, if I'd have talked to you 6 months before, we would have been able to do some work in educating the market on how does HIT6 work in this space. How should you think about it?
How does like the HIT6, how is like another intervention that is FDA approved for headaches impact the HIT6? Which, when you find that out, it's staggering, like how effective Neurolens is.
Right.
But until you know that as the baseline, right? Like if you think about Imitrex or some of the other migraine interventions, Botox, it's like, I have no perspective.
Yeah. And when you look at the landscape, being able to do a few points of change is considered a positive outcome.
Yeah.
And Neurolens showed over 5 points of improvement. And if you look at the HIT6 scale, somebody changing a full 5 points or more, it's like you have to go to the hospital for a headache, or you have a headache but you can still live in your day-to-day. And that's the qualitative aspect of that outcome. And we love that for optometry because optometrists are frontline. They can cut a lot of problems off early. And we see this as that frontline therapeutic intervention, so people don't have to go on a journey. Now, headache is one facet of the Neurolens spectrum, but we thought it was really critical to show a specific outcome.
Yeah, I mean, I think when I think about a pillar in a comprehensive practice, right, and thinking about binocular vision globally, and then headache intervention within that binocular vision pillar, the HIT6 to me seems kind of pivotal if you're finding headache headache symptoms. Again, this is not necessarily like a Neurolens solution, but my kind of interpretation of that is like, all right, well, now I'm going to dive a little bit deeper. Maybe I'm going to take a kind of our broad Neurolens questionnaire related to headache. Then I want to really focus on building out a binocular vision pillar. Neurolens can be the foundation of that pillar, and then my evaluation of HIT6 can be the deeper, like symptomatic improvement. And now it allows me to kind of build out a bigger benefit to my patients. Right. So yeah, I mean, the sort of connecting all those dots for me wound up allowing me to understand the story better and maybe even tell the story better to our audience on iCode, but also just in consulting with other practices.
Absolutely.
So then we have that evidence, and you talk about that as a therapeutic intervention. That is now under the umbrella of Newton. Because my suspicion is, and I'll let you talk about this more, is we have, the therapeutic intervention, but then that implies there's a non-therapeutic intervention that's coming, or other things that Newton can now offer that are differentiated and delineated from Neurolens. So talk about the first one,
Right.
that you're kind of introducing to the market here at Vision Expo West.
Absolutely. So Neurolens continuing to grow. We saw in Q2 alone of this year, we did 250,000 measurements. Again, I got to come back to data. We look at a lot of data. We've done over 3.5 million measurements, 350,000 prescriptions in Neurolens. And when we looked at Q2 alone, it's the same as it always has been. 30% of patients coming into the annual eye exam at optometry practice across the US were raising their hand as having severe symptoms, headache, neck tension, motion sickness. I'm having it every day or every other day. Now, that left about 70% of the patients that were living in the world as a slightly symptomatic. They just consider themselves normal. It's just a part of my life. Am I on digital devices all the time? Absolutely. It's no longer a digital world, it's just the world.
Right.
And we said, do we think that the mainstream lens designs are constructed for the world that we've now evolved into? The digital lifestyle has
So for the other 70%.
the other 70% of patients. The digital lifestyle that they're living on computers, on tablets, on phones all the time, are the lenses designed specifically for how we're living on and off screens? And we think that there's an opportunity to offer a mainstream lifestyle lens with an improvement that makes it a little bit more comfortable for the everyday wear. Definitely a totally different technology and application than what Neurolens can bring to the patient in practice, but we're going to be featuring Convergence Boost in all sequel lenses. And what Convergence Boost does is it eliminates a lot of the negative variables that can be induced at the near zone when working on digital devices up close, from ad power. As you increase the ad and magnification, a lot can change in can affect, and there's sometimes base out prism induced, and patients don't often like it. They love the ad, they love the accommodative support, but some of those unintended, uncontrolled variables can be cleaned up with a Convergence Boost technology in that very near zone. What we're hearing is it's comfortable, it's clear, and generally the patients they say, I used to take my glasses off when I got home from work because I wanted a break. Now I forget to take them off when I get into bed.
Yeah.
So that's what we're hearing.
All right, so we have now two options that I want to make sure that are not confusing to the marketplace.
Right.
First question I have is, do I need a device to know who's going to benefit from sequel? You haven't mentioned the name yet.
I haven't.
But I just did.
You just did, so.
All right, so that's all right. So I know, obviously, like some of this I know, obviously, because I've kind of studied and looked into some of these things. But the other part is there's a lot I don't know.
Sure.
And so tell me about, how do I, as a practitioner, do I come to the table and I have to do the whole thing at once to partner with Newton? Or do I get an option to say, I want to do everything, or I can just do sequel? Tell me, sequel obviously is the name of the product you're describing.
Correct.
How does that work?
So we have our Neurolens portfolio, sequel lens portfolio that's going to have a full suite of single vision, accommodative support or anti-fatigue designs, 2 of those, and a progressive design. So you'll be able to treat the mainstream everyday wear. As Newton, we are currently have sequel lens portfolio available to all Newton users, which are Neurolens users. Okay. An update that actually was just announced yesterday or today. The sequel lens portfolio is going to be available through VSP later this fall.
Great.
And so we will be entering, what we believe and see with the sequel lens portfolio is it does offer a more comfortable experience for the everyday user. We sought, should this go on managed vision care, or should we remain this as a cash pay
Well,
offer?
you and I have talked about that over the last couple of years.
And we thought the Neurolens distinctly is a differentiated therapeutic outcome in discussion. That has to and will remain a private pay therapeutic intervention. The sequel lens is for the everyday wear, and we see that as should be on as many patients as possible. And so when we sought, some feedback from our users, we had a decision to make, and we saw, hey, VSP is going to be a great partner to make this democratized offering through the sequel lens portfolio.
So then, I think a couple things. The first thing is,
CooperVision and the AOA have joined forces in a groundbreaking initiative to transform how optometrists treat children with myopia. The Myopia Collective aims to unite our profession and its allies to challenge the status quo and elevate the standard of care for children with myopia. Everyone is invited to become a member of the collective. By joining, you pledge to act in slowing childhood myopia progression. Membership includes regular updates and information about the collective's efforts, access to educational opportunities and resources, and insights from the ambassador optometrists who advocate for community policy and changes supporting the collective's mission. Click the link in the show notes to join the collective today.
Are you concerned at all about cannibalizing the people who need the therapeutic intervention with something that might be better than what they normally have, but not entirely relaxing some of their convergence problems in the near component by just accounting for the prismatic inducement of the convergence that occurs in the sequel lens, kind of neutralizing that versus added base-in therapy in the near component. So how do you communicate to the people who are already using the Neurolens without saying, well, this one's covered, this one is not covered, Neurolens. Sequel might be a covered option, from easily going to an option that may not be the best for the patient. How do we as doctors have that conversation? How are you having that as a conversation with the doctors that are currently using it?
That was obviously very critical consideration in the product development. Is the distinctness of the technology stacks is very, very different. And what we I'll give you a quick overview.
Yeah.
The Neurolens, you take a customized measurement using sophisticated eye tracking technology to get a micro prism prescription for that patient. The doctor then is going to assess with that visual alignment data as well as the symptom profile and make a diagnosis. And then they'll prescribe the contour prism to that patient to be customized at the distance portion, running all the way through the lens down to the near for a therapeutic outcome to solve a patient-driven problem. So Neurolens is custom to the patient, designed to make sure that it is addressing a patient issue.
Custom to the patient in the sense of the amount of prism that I'm specifically prescribing.
Exactly.
Yeah. To take care of the headache symptom, the motion sickness symptom, the neck ache symptom, etc. Sequel.
Well, and contour prism changes throughout the entire lens to keep that seamless visual alignment throughout the entirety of the lens.
Great. And so sequel is distinctly different because
the patient is not getting actually treatment. We are fixing a product problem. We found issues within the product design, and we are going to clean up the uncontrolled variables in the near zone with convergence boost technology. So it will be different. It is not prescribed. You don't change anything in your prescription. You prescribe it like a normal progressive, a normal anti-fatigue or single vision.
Yep.
And if it is a high myope,
I would add power if I needed to.
Correct.
Right. I would. So as a segue or a sidebar, what's the smallest amount of near add I can add?
So we have the standard single vision.
Yep.
We have our Sequel 38, which is a 38 add, and that's going to be anti-fatigue.
Yep.
Convergence boost will be different in all of these lenses.
Because the amount of prismatic effect that comes from the convergence from distance to near, just in general.
And it changes based on the PD, the add power, the sphere, the sill, the frame shape, and all of these compensated calculations are done for the practice, just make a comfortable, clear near zone.
Great.
Then in the next lens is a Sequel 67. That's a 67 add.
Yep.
And then we have a progressive, and it's a 75 add and up.
Okay, yeah. So I love the customization because a lot of times, I'll find that patients, their best add power might be half a diopter or 3/4 of a diopter. And now I have options that kind of scale with that patient where, they're not, as you find, is that we'll have a lot of these kind of anti-fatigue lenses that are in the marketplace, and having those as sort of, patients 38, patients 28,
right,
and then just getting tired on their device. Now we have options that can kind of follow them throughout.
Right.
That also account for that extra prismatic effect that will occur from the near boost.
Right.
That's great.
And obviously we've done thousands of these prescriptions. We have found multiple times where a patient has tried to go from a Neurolens to a Sequel, and is
It's
the
not the
same
same.
experience as going from a Neurolens to just a great premium lens.
Yeah.
They don't have that relief that they're looking for, and they've come back and moved back into the Neurolens.
Yeah. So I think that where I would say, from my perspective, you guys need to be crystal clear. I mean, and you have been clear, right? But like Davis Corley, who's an expert and passionate about the technology, right? Who's a wonk on all of it. How do you actually filter that up to your sales force and up to your training people so that they're as passionate and giving a clear as message as possible to the doctors? And then what's your plan for allowing, so first, that's the first question. Then the second question within that is, how do you try to ensure that the doctors have this consistent understanding and then their teams have a consistent understanding in a way that's simple for the patient to understand the difference between I need a therapeutic intervention and I just need a great quality lens?
Right. And we've been thinking about this for quite some time. And we're bringing a new innovation later this fall called Isaac by Newton. And Isaac is an AI training and learning development platform for our sales force. Our organization goes through this platform, but we're going to be making it available because staff retention, staff training, staff development, skill assessment is a real challenge.
Yeah.
And standardization of training and reinforcement is a real challenge. So the AI platform will walk staff ODs through, and we're going to bring out multiple products. We're starting obviously with Newton and Sequel products and Neurolens products to learn how does the technology within Neurolens and Contour Prism operate? How does the Sequel lens portfolio operate? You'll spend 15 minutes on these, and then you get to interact with an AI avatar on your computer.
Yeah.
Where you talk to them about the technology.
And the AI avatar is essentially the patient. Can they play the patient?
Right.
Or it can play a instructor?
So you'll be able to select and customize.
Yeah.
So let's say you were setting this up for your staff.
Yeah.
And you said, hey, Susie, I'd like for you to learn about Sequel. Watch these 15 minutes of videos, and then we want you to talk to the computer. I'm going to set it up to either have it. You struggle with engineers because they ask a lot of questions.
Yeah.
So I'm going to pick a high analytic engineer, and we want you to talk about price objections.
Yeah.
We want you to talk to a more kindergarten teacher, and we want you to be able to get them to understand the features and benefits of this technology. You can pick that avatar profile, and they get all their messaging is transcribed. They get a grade. If they talk too fast, it tells them their pacing. If they have a lot of filler words, it gives them how many filler words they use, likes and ums. And then what it shows you is you'll be able to look through their transcription to see if it's on message with the brand of your practice.
Yeah. So we could actually create a story brand script for my practice. It's, you know story brand?
I do.
Yeah,
Love
so
Donald Miller.
I could create a story brand script for my practice that talks about how we view the patient as the hero, how our role as the guide, that can be communicated across our team. I could upload that to this.
So immediately in fall, we're going to be uploading customization opportunities in a few select. We can pick patient profiles.
Yep.
And you can pick product types where they go through. We will be coming out with new customizations for exactly what your own branding, and we want to make sure that you offer that. But to start, it will be Neurolens and Sequel product, and then the type of patient you want to talk to and guidance on what are the objectives. You're trying to convince them about why this product is different from this product. You're trying to help them understand the benefits and the features to make the best decision for them.
What about doctors?
Doctors are
Can they engage it as well?
Absolutely.
I think that's so. I think the hardest part as the clinician is we've got so many things we need to manage within that comprehensive exam. So we got to figure out a way to tighten up our discussion with the patient so that we can remove ourselves as the barrier for them to do what's best in their best interest. And in a lot of cases, it's just hard for us to tighten that script over and over and over again in a way that minimizes uncertainty for the patient and removes us as the barrier so that they're compelled to do what's in their best interest, right? And not in a nefarious way, but in a way that is in their best interest, truly in the patient's best interest. But it's very hard. I mean, you've probably sat in offices and listened to doctors talk.
Absolutely.
And I've done this hundreds of times. And I'm always amazed at And I've listened to myself, recorded myself over and over and over again. I'm like, oh, that's not good. That's not good. It needs to be better. You know, we need to tighten this up.
Right.
And how afraid we are to actually scrutinize ourselves. But when we do that, how we can serve our patients so much better.
Right.
So this will all be available.
Right. That will be, and it'll come as a platform within our Newton portal, which
Yep.
all Neurolens customers have available. Later this week, they'll see a new icon.
Great.
And it will be the Isaac platform.
And there's what else do I pay for it as a customer? Like, what do I need to do to unlock
We'll be
it?
rolling out the full opportunity to start for Newton customers. The Neurolens and Sequel will be there at no charge.
Great.
Sequel will come first since it's the newest, and our Neurolens users already have been exposed to Neurolens, and then we'll be adding the Neurolens learning tracks, and then we're going to be looking for feedback. Our innovation pipeline is driven by our optometrists.
Yeah.
What is the biggest need in the practice that you wish could be done objectively, in a scalable fashion, and something that you don't have to worry about? It's going to be done for you. All you have to do is sit them down, and that's what we'll be looking for, feedback and insights into. I wish this did this for me, and we can make it happen.
Yeah. So I was talking to your brother earlier today, and he said, now maybe I'm going to get him in trouble, but he's your little brother or older brother?
Younger brother, bigger brother. He's
Yeah,
bigger than
he's
me.
bigger than you.
Well,
Yeah,
he's like 6
He
foot.
makes me,
4.
it makes me feel small. So he said it's 95%. The words were 95%, and then he's looking to clean it up, to that 100% level. But the reason I bring that up in terms of AI is that you want a little bit of imagination, right? That's what people in the industry of AI call hallucinations, right? But I said, oh, it's hallucinating. And he goes, no, it's not hallucinations.
Right.
It's just, so how do you assess whether that 95%, like, that's acceptable? When he says 95%, my understanding is it's taking the learner down a path, and then every now and then it'll make this little blip,
Sure.
which I would call hallucination. He was like, it's not hallucinating, but it's something else.
Right.
But that's good in a sense of like allowing us to, because not everybody is going to fit a profile. So how do you decide, okay, it's ready,
Yep.
or this is game time? Like, what do you do as a company that's analyzing this stuff to say, I'm ready to unleash it?
Right. So we've been testing this portal in beta for quite some time. And I'd say as an organization, we've invested heavily in AI. We've got AI architects
Clearly.
and software teams behind the scenes that are working tirelessly to make sure that we bring the market the best products. I'll give you an example. When we first started, you speak to the AI and you talk about Neurolens, it thought you said New Orleans, right? Because Neurolens wasn't a dictionary word, so you have to massage it and train it. There's a lot of slang that gets used in the Now we really are making what we believe is a AI platform that knows optometry speech better than anything out there, and that's what we're continuously iterating and improving upon. And PD, does that mean something outside of our space?
Yeah.
To an AI, you want to make sure it knows that if you want it to be effective. So those are the little details and minutia that we continue to, and we will for some time. New technology will come out. It won't know what it is.
That's what he's referring to in terms of 95%. And then you get into a practice like mine, and you might uncover something that's like, well, Chris Wolfe says something completely different than,
Right.
than I don't know, the guy right down the street, right?
Absolutely.
Aaron Warner, right? So then that's part of the learning process. Do you get that feedback? So then the next question a lot of people are going to ask is this, am I giving you other information that's going to allow you to do other nefarious things, or is it just going to help you improve the AI?
Well, I wish we had the capacity to deal with all the data that we get.
Yeah, it's going to be so much.
It's going to be completely overwhelming, and in a good way. We plan to use it to advance innovation, and there's always going to be, how could this be used against me? There is nothing that we could even think of that would go that direction. What we want to do is create the best experience for your practice. We think that communication is a huge opportunity in the practice, and being able to transcribe a training role play, I don't know how that could be used nefariously today, but if there's a perception out there, I would love to address it.
Well, I'll tell you, do you know Masood? Have you met Masood Nafi?
I've heard of him. I don't know.
So I will tell you, so he and I have been doing a series of talks across the country related to AI. And there's about 50% of people, when we survey them, that don't want to engage at all in AI.
Sure.
Because they're worried about something, right? And so, I don't necessarily think their concern is, I actually don't think their concern is invalid. I think it's actually quite valid. So this is a reality that exists in this space where you get some people who are like, I see the vision, and I'm with you, I see the vision. But then if you're talking about half of the population that's looking at it and I'm just not going to engage at all, good, bad, should we try to convince them that they should? Are we just providing opportunity and they get to decide? How do you look at that as a company?
Disruptive technology always has a curve to it.
Yeah.
And you have that classic early innovators, early adopters, early majority, late majority. That is always going to occur with, you think about online banking. For the longest time, online banking was taboo.
Where's my paper receipt?
And how did that start? But I do most of my stuff online, on my phone, on the go.
Yeah.
And it does take some time. And not everybody will see the vision as quickly as others. But I do believe we can all agree that AI is not going to be going anywhere, and it is definitely a tool, when applied the right ways, can be a total force multiplier for the practice, the patient, and we're betting that we're going to be able to help practices succeed with the tool of this nature. And we're respectful to those that may not be ready. But if they want to learn more, and that's the skepticism thing, bring that skepticism. Are we going to do something nefarious with your data or transcribed role play training? I can't think of how we would do that, but we want to have that conversation because it's warranted. It's real. It's 50-50. I mean, if it's that big, we got to be ready to have that conversation. So I encourage any of the listeners that please bring those concerns forward. We'll talk through how we address those and make sure that everybody's comfortable with it. But we think that the merits outweigh the risk.
Yeah, I would agree with you at this point. I think that's true. The other concern we hear is staff are concerned. So as the doctor, I'm thinking, Davis, just make this thing talk to my patients. But what the reality is that first, I don't think patients want that. I don't think patients really want, now they might want some priming and sort of customized solutions based on their specific problems to prime them to get ready into the practice. I think patients will accept that. But I'm not entirely sure that I say, hey, Davis, watch this, talk to this AI, they're going to tell you about everything, that you would be like, oh, I'm going to listen to this, I'm going to really engage. So you can't take the human away from it.
Right.
But I don't know that our staff, our teams actually believe that. I think a lot of our teams are skeptical. We've seen this in the feedback as well, is that staff are concerned they're going to be replaced by AI. And for the time being, I'm not sure that patients want to engage at that level with somebody who's not a human or a entity that is not a human. Whether entity is the right word, we could probably have that deeper conversation. But so how do you reinforce to the staff that I'm just not going to say, hey, Davis, make this easy for me so I don't have to have Sally over here talking about the benefits of Neurolens and having a really detailed conversation, who also knows not only that this is a conversation about Neurolens, but it's a conversation with an engineer who I'm going to perfectly tailor my conversation based on that specific conversation as opposed to training Sally to do it. So that's a lot. I don't know if it's a statement or a question, but what do you think about that?
Well, I believe that within the eye care industry, things are progressing very fast with AI applications, AI utilization, but we're still quite a bit behind where the AI industry is going. And so I'm watching outside in.
Yeah.
How is this going to affect other industries? Because it's going to happen there first before, because the interaction from patient and doctor relationship is so critical in the industry. Staff and patient relationship is so critical that I think we're going to be able to see how things unfold from an artificial intelligence perspective in terms of how is it going to be deployed? How much efficiency can it create in other industries before anything truly transpires within the industry itself? That relationship and the customization of frame fitting. AI is not going to be able to do a lot of things. It's not going to be able to run a patient through a pre-test. It's a lot of guided patient experiential things. Like our vision for Newton is to enhance the patient experience and outcomes at the annual eye exam through eye care.
I just think so if you wanted a what if, right? Like, could you do this? You know, one of the things that I always try to coach our team on is like, you're technically excellent, but how can we elevate the level of care we're providing to the patient in terms of just like the way we communicate with them? Right. So how can I make this thing I'm doing more pleasurable or more experiential to the patient in a way that's differentiated from somebody else?
Right.
So like that could be a super cool tool.
Absolutely.
that is just like, you know, okay, here's the baseline. This is what we need to say to make it clear to the patient, but now let's make it pleasurable to the patient.
Right.
Right. Like mentally stimulating in a way that makes them be like, that was an experience.
Right.
So that would be my ask, right? How can we help with that?
I think that there is going to be the innovation curve on all of this is moving so fast that I think both staff, optometrists, and people in the industry are going to be wowed by what is capable. And I think where you see AI delivered most right now is in the diagnostics and efficiency space. But I do think that the patient experience side is a core focus that we're interested in. How can we improve that on behalf of the customers we serve through Newton with AI? We're not looking to be disruptive to the practice. That's not what disruptive technology means to us. We think it means an unbelievable advancement.
Right.
That's how we
Right.
think about
A lot of times people think disruptive as like, I'm going to lose my job.
Right.
Right. Or something's going to replace me, as opposed to like, we're making something that is making you think about this thing differently than the way you were thinking about it before. So maybe my last sort of question, unless there's some other point that I sort of missed in this conversation that you think is important, would be, as Newton, as an innovative company that's looking to provide different solutions to expand access to your services more broadly. We've talked about 3 different things today. Neurolens, SQL, and AI, but what was the term? What was the name?
Isaac.
Isaac.
By Newton.
Right, by Newton. How do you know as a business? So this is more of a business question that we ought to be thinking about as independent practice owners. When you think of, as a CEO of a company, when you think of that has access to a lot of resources, when do you start thinking about what's next in a way that keeps you focused on what you're doing now, and also doesn't squash your ability to think, to sort of imagine, right? So you have these 3 new things. When do you decide that next thing that pops into Davis's mind or somebody else's mind in your team, when do you start thinking it's time? How do you know that?
Driven by the customer. The needs of the practice, the needs of the optometrist, the needs of the patient are what highlight where there's gaps or opportunities. And you have to be talking to your customers. You have to be listening is way more important than talking to your customers. Hearing where I really have a retention, staff development, staff assessment issue. That's what birthed the concept for Isaac as a learning module with role play that could help objectively improve people in the practice. We're going to be looking for those opportunities, and we have a strong feedback loop from the field to leadership at our organization. We focus heavily on collaboration is a huge value that we truly treasure. And then we're willing to make bets to move very quickly and aggressively when we see an opportunity. I think that's a big differentiator for us. We're going to focus in a few areas really heavily if we see an opportunity that our customers are struggling with or want something, an opportunity they see as an amplifier for them, and we're going to go and we're going to go after it. I think that if we say anything about Newton is an innovation company, and we think we are positioned to be the best innovation partner for the practices we serve. I think we've shown that we do a great job as a therapeutic intervention for your patients in practice, and 30% of people should jump into that. We want to be a bigger part of your practice and a mainstream lens portfolio, and we think we can do that by adding us a comfortable lens to your portfolio, and then we think we can help your staff and your optometrists take a level up in their messaging, their communication to patients through Isaac. So that's how we're thinking, and that's the beginning. There's more coming, so we may have to have another podcast.
Well, we should.
But it's just the beginning for Newton. we don't call ourselves an innovation company and stop with just these things.
Well, Davis Corley, thanks so much for coming on the podcast. It's a great conversation, and I look forward to the next one.
Chris, thank you.
Appreciate it.